So we're here kind of doing the last lab for now, for a little while at least. There won't be too many more released, for me at least. So this one is the synthesis of oil of wintergreen. So we take and we use some salicylic acid, and we basically do a reaction with methyl alcohol, which forms this oil of wintergreen. It has another name here, but it's pretty complicated, as you can see, and some water on the side. So we'll just be doing that reaction using our salicylic acid here, some really concentrated sulfuric acid. This is 18 molar. Some methyl alcohol, which is in this giant jug that you can see here, and a hot water bath, and just one of these test tubes, this 6-inch test tube. It's a long one, so yeah. So that's basically all of the things we need for this lab, and we'll get going now. So the first thing that we need here is we're going to just need 0.3 grams of our salicylic acid powder here. And we're going to go ahead and measure this out on some weigh paper. So we got our 0.3 grams of salicylic acid into our weigh paper here. And we're going to go ahead and put it into the test tube. So that's kind of aided along the way by the wrinkle you did halfway through. It should be able to just go ahead and slide into the test tube, just like that. So there's our salicylic acid, 0.3 grams inside of our test tube. So we're using this tiny graduated cylinder here, because we only need 3 milliliters, and a dropper to get some of the alcohol into our graduated cylinder. So our 3 milliliters are into our graduated cylinder. We're then going to take our 3 milliliters of this methyl alcohol and add it to our salicylic acid. And it says to agitate the test tube until the contents are well mixed. So we're just going to stir that around a little bit. And again, we can let that sit just for a second as we grab our sulfuric acid. So we have our sulfuric acid here, concentrated 18 molar. This stuff is pretty dangerous because it's 18 molar acid. This is one of the very strong ones too. So really what we need to do is we need to carefully open this and then carefully draw some up into a pipette. We're going to be adding 10 drops of our concentrated sulfuric acid into our mixture here, and then swirling that tube. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then closing this as soon as you're done with it. Again, we want to stir our tube. It says for 5 minutes. Oh, nope, sorry, my bad. It says swirl the tube contents. And then we're just going to want to swirl our tube here for a little bit as we wait for our hot plate of our beaker. We have a beaker with just tap water in it to warm up to 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. We wait for that hot plate to warm up. We can look at the reaction taking place with the drawn out kind of structures here. So just kind of look to see where everything is going, what changes in this to get to that, and what changes from this to get to that. It's just kind of interesting to see and to look at. And so you kind of see that the CH3 here replaces the hydrogen there. So you got that. The rest of the structure is sort of the same. The hydrogen, of course, then bonds with the OH to form water, or the H2O. And this H plus in the middle, it's sort of like the catalyst you need, or the thing you need for the reaction to take place. And what in this reaction sort of was that? In our instance, it's sort of that concentrated sulfuric acid, which has lots of H+ ions floating around. It's 18 molar hydrosulfuric acid, or no, just sulfuric acid, my bad. But that's going to get this reaction to take place because the H+ is just in such high concentrations. So that's just kind of interesting to note while the hot plate is getting ready. We'll check the temperature here of the hot plate. It is 62, 62.7, 62.6. It's currently about 62.6. So we're gonna just lower the heat a little bit. Maybe just turn it off for now as we let this sit. Well, maybe we need it on, but we don't need it as high as it was. It just needs to retain the temperature at this point in time. So, okay. There we are. We have our beaker here. I'm just going to check the temperature one more time. Yeah, we can still lower that just a little bit too, even. But it says to add our test tube here, into the beaker and let it stay for 5 minutes. Now remember, of course, one of the dangerous things about this is that hot glass looks just like cold glass. So yeah, we're just gonna let that sit for 5 minutes, and get back to you when that's done. While this is actually sitting, it's still got a few more minutes to go. We're gonna add another. This is a smaller beaker. It's a 50 milliliter beaker with 20 milliliters of water into it. So we're going to go ahead and add that now, or onto our beaker, and just let that one warm up. It doesn't need as much time to warm up because it's a smaller amount of water, but yeah. So these have been sitting here for about 5 minutes, maybe actually a little bit longer. But we are going to take this test tube and pour the contents into this smaller beaker here. We had checked the temperature and it was all good, so we're gonna go ahead and pour this into the small beaker. And it says to record the odor. So, oh wow. Hopefully you guys don't have to wear masks in future years. But it smells like gum in here, which is kind of interesting. What's the blue extra gum, if you've ever had it? Yeah, so that's what this Oil of Wintergreen smells like. I wish you could smell this and it wasn't just me, but so yeah, that whole reaction thing doesn't necessarily translate all the way, but we took the salicylic acid and added the methyl alcohol, basically formed the Oil of Wintergreen. Kind of the easiest way to tell that is that it smells like wintergreen, or out of focus. The easiest way to tell that is it smells like wintergreen gum, or it smells like minty sort of freshness. So yeah, we've created it essentially. But yeah, you can record the odor. Just minty, I guess, is one of the best ways to think about it. Sorry you can't smell it in person. Hopefully you can find a way to do the lab some other way. But that's just sort of the procedure of it and the reaction, or what you should expect from it to happen. Just get that minty smell. Hopefully that helps. And yeah, like I said, this is probably the last one for a really long time. So, cool.